I've decided it's time for an update for my Patreons. I know there's currently only 4 of you, but as we grow, I'm sure people can look back and enjoy these videos. So, for the 4 of you, for the benefit of the 4 of you, I'm going to have a little update with what's going on at the moment. So I'm currently on the North Downs Way, which is this beautiful trail behind me. I actually planned to sort of finish the last leg off, and I thought it would take 3 to 4 days. So I brought all the kit with me, enough food, water, my bivvy to sleep in, prepared to finish it, and I've managed to do it in a couple of days. So this is the final day. I'll probably be finished tonight, and I'll reach Dover, which is sort of this last checkpoint. But it's interesting because I've been working pretty non-stop, and usually when I start a job I tend to do part-time or something like that, because I spend a lot of my time walking. I'd much rather sort of be out on the trails, but I'm conscious of the fact that I'm trying to save as much money as possible, and obviously in the current times where employment in England is probably going to go to absolute dribble, it's good for me to hold on to my job any way I can. I've been saving like crazy. Pretty much all my money has just been going into my savings, and it's all sort of getting putting away for the walk next year. And I think when you work, you get in a state of mind where everything becomes very monotonous, and it depends what you do. Obviously, if you enjoy your job, you get a sense of purpose from your job. It's not like that at all. But when you're doing something very mundane and you're repeating it, you get in a headspace and you sort of just disappear into that little world. And I feel like that's where I've been for a while. I feel like I sort of just disappeared into this modern day life, which is a very normal thing for most people, where they go to work, they finish work, they go home, they want to rest, they want to watch films, TV, and the weekends they want to go out. And I've always tried not to fit into that pattern. I think it's a very English thing. And it's something I've never really enjoyed. As soon as I'm not getting out in nature as much, as soon as I'm not walking as much, I suffer for it. I just don't thrive as well. I'm not as happy. I don't have my time to think, and I'm just not as fun to be around, if that makes sense. Not that there's anything wrong with me, but I think it just makes a big difference for me to get that headspace. And it's amazing. I've been on the trail for 2 days, and I feel back again. You sort of just get back in touch with nature. You have that time to process the things that you weren't able to do when you're busy all the time, and you start thinking through these problems and realise they're quite trivial, and they sort of just disappear, and you think, how could this possibly have been something I've stuck on before, and something that could occupy your mind for weeks has just disappeared with a few hours of thinking on the problem. And it's because for most people in the modern world, they don't have a few hours to think on a problem. They don't have a few hours where there is nothing else to do. The only option is to think through something, or to look inwardly at something that's going on, rather than fulfilling that constant need or unsatiable hunger for distraction. And it's something that's really common now. Like anywhere you go, people on their phones, people have Netflix, people have anything at the touch of their fingers, but they lack that sort of ability to realise what's going on, and a lot of emotions can sort of just have their own will, and you have no control over them. And for me, something that I've really got into as I've got older, is this sort of philosophical idea of using my reasoning and being able to sort of look into a situation and make better decisions on it. And sometimes when you're in that mindset of you're tired, you're drained, you're just probably mentally bored, it's been very difficult. So now I honestly feel like it's made a huge difference for me. And there's a certain therapy in walking, I think. I think people don't realise that just getting out, thinking through things, getting the blood pumping, you releases endorphins, it releases dopamine, you start feeling better. And not just the walking, but the whole nature of spending a night out in the wilds, waking up and the sun's shining on you, and you get that little buzz of energy as it hits you, and you can just head out and go on the trail again. And that's sort of really what I feel will be replicated daily when I'm walking. And it's sort of it's not the only reason that I want to go on this journey, but it's sort of the most natural lifestyle that I can imagine. Is a lifestyle where you're waking up each day, there's no pressure, there's no time pressure, you don't have anywhere you need to get to, you have no direction you have to follow, you don't have tasks or work to be fulfilled. And I feel like although in modern life work is one of our main ambitions, and it's something that's really good. And a lot of things, well, people like me, I really like creative pursuits, I like working on different things, but often you find that sometimes you get into it and you want to work more and more and more, and you almost, once you start telling your brain that you want to do something creative or you want to work on something and you enjoy it and you get used to doing that amount of work, you almost keep providing yourself work. And I think it's an interesting dynamic where you're just sort of adding tasks, oh, do the next thing, and when you have that any free time at all, you're sort of just filling it with stuff to do, and it's really hard to snap out of that. And sometimes it's hard to realise that you need to get things finished, get what you need to do done, enjoy it, and not just fill time. It's very easy for us to just fill. So we feel like we're busy, we feel like we're achieving things, but we miss out on the things that actually fulfill us, things that we're sort of going to remember. We miss out on just sitting down and thinking, sitting around a campfire and talking to people, the things that, you're not really doing anything productive, but they bring the most joy. And me being able to reflect on that every time I go walking is one of the reasons why I would like to be on the road for a longer period of time. I had to stop quickly because I got a little bit lost. I'm back now in this sort of huge fields. So kind of to sum it all up, sort of what I've been thinking about is, although I realise I'm not going to be able to get other people to abandon their lives and disappear from family and friends to walk across the world, I know people don't like to be uncomfortable. I know people wouldn't, ultimately they might not enjoy being on the road, but I feel that there's lots of takeaways, and it's hard to convince people right now because I haven't started the walk, but I've done similar things. I've done smaller walks, and you kind of get that sense of the realization that by going back to nature, by appreciating these things, it has amazing benefits for our lives. And it's interesting, like looking at studies, and I find it very interesting. You look at people with depression, and they get a group of people who suffer from depression, and they split them down into 3 groups. One's placebo, one is tested on the best drugs that we have to offer, the best that science can come up with at the time, and the last group is just told to walk 3 times a week, and they monitor the progress, and the people that reported the most benefits and that were the most consistently happy were the people that walked. And of course, once the trial stopped, once the drug stopped, they returned to their old ways, but the people that were walking kept it as a habit and remained happy for pretty much something like 2 or 3 years without any issues. And it's interesting how something so simple has had such a huge effect. And I feel like these sort of symptoms of modern day society, these sort of mental stresses and issues that we face, are purely because we've separated from the ways that we used to be. We've gone away from nature, we've put ourselves indoors, we've got artificial lights, we spend most of our time sitting down. Everything has changed in our lifestyle over the past 10,000 years, and we've changed something that was fundamentally what we were used to for hundreds of thousands of years, something that through evolution we never faced. We're very used to being outdoors, we use the sun to set our circadian rhythm, we used to always walk long distances. We didn't have to do activity we do now. I mean, if you talk to people that are in tribes and you told them about the idea of exercise, they'd find it strange. To them, there is no such thing as exercise. There's no sort of set activity you do in order to burn calories, burn fat, or to gain muscle. It never existed. They just did a number of movements through walking or hunting or carrying water or collecting things that would make them lean, and they wouldn't have any of the modern day phenomena we have now, and that combined with their diets, all these more natural ways are much better for us. And that's sort of because our genes were made us in a certain way, and we're used to that. We're used to that being our way until about 10,000 years ago, when agriculture came into being and everything changed. And I don't see an issue with the evolution of the human race, although I do find some aspects of it sad. I do feel that we've kind of stemmed so far away from where we should be. But there is obviously lots of benefits for people, and things have changed in such a fast way that it is just hard for our bodies to catch up. But for us to be able to function, for us to remain happy, for us to, you know, enjoy life without facing these chronic stresses that we come up with, what we face at the moment, is to get back to nature as much as we can. And that's what I honestly believe. And even if it's just going for a walk, and I can convince people through what I'm doing to go walking 2 or 3 times a week, it will have huge benefits. And I feel like everything sort of comes back full circle, and it's going to become sort of a health trend. And I know people that are sort of starting to get into this. They're sort of starting to be interested in their circadian rhythm, their sleep patterns, people interested in their diet more than never really were, and they're starting to realise the negative effects. So it's not just a case of a journey for myself, and there is an aspect of that, and I believe I get more mentally tough. I believe that I will come back as a much better person, and I'll see incredible things on the way. But it's also about telling my story. It's about continuously, almost a legacy that I can leave as I go, and maybe inspire people. I mean, it's a difficult thing, because I feel that people that are close to you, people that know you really well, find these things terrifying. You tell someone that you know that you're going to go climb a mountain, you're going to go run a marathon, you're going to do crazy things, and to them the notion is terrifying. They think about you in their situation, they think about themselves in their situation, they can't imagine it, they can't fathom it, and they'll usually try and put you off, or they'll try and lessen what you're going to do by saying that, oh, maybe you should just, you know, just try this first, or do a little bit one smaller first, and it's fear. But interesting enough, the same people that sort of bat off these ideas, and people that would never consider them if you told them, are the people that still sort of indulge in escapism and would sit there reading a book about adventurers, or turn on the TV to see people climbing Everest, and sort of revel in these wonderful sights and incredible things people put them through because they don't know them. So I think it's something we need to realise is, although society, you know, when you go to your family or friends, they will try and put you off these things, and there's a lot of things that are within conventional wisdom that people say, oh, that's very strange, they think it's odd. You know, you say you want to go off and do some walking for a couple of days, and you say you want to do different things, and people might go, oh, why? Don't you just want to go to the pub, or don't you just want to watch a film on Netflix? It's against the conventional way that we think now, and that makes me very sad. I think you have to be willing to go against that. People aren't going to, you know, not be your friend. People might find it a bit odd if you don't want to go out every weekend, and, you know, you actually want to try and, you know, do some cycling or some walking, but your life will benefit a lot from it. So this is just something I've been thinking on. I feel like it's more me talking about the benefits of walking rather than an update. So just quickly, I'm doing North Downs Way. I should be finished hopefully by the end of tonight. So I'll finish in Dover, and then tomorrow I'll probably take a rest day, and then go for another couple days walking, just to kind of get this sense back of you know, doing these long trips on the road. For me, it's, you know, it's a fair amount of time until my walk, but I still want to get some experience. I still want to understand what it will be like for me to be on the road for long periods of time, and it's just getting used to walking, finding a place to camp, finding somewhere to sort of bury into some woodland area, put my bivvy, set that up, sleep overnight, you know, get up, be able to have a sort of routine, do a bit of meditation, brush my teeth with like a little bit of water to conserve it, you know, eat, cook, survive, just generally function. And obviously it can be more difficult to function on the road, although things are simpler because you're not used to doing it. So that's something I've been doing. Oh, hang on, just gonna have a quick crossing here, 1 second. Try not to die. Ooh. There we go. So for me, it's just a sense of practice. It's not the walking itself. I feel confident that I can do the distance. It's the mental side of it, and being able to repeat these actions each day. Being able to stay healthy on the road is a difficult thing. I have to be able to get on a very small budget that I'll be running off. I have to try and get as much nutrition in as I can, bearing in mind I'll be burning thousands of calories every day. I need to keep water topped up. There's a lot of different factors to it that people don't really think of. I think the basics, oh, we might have to do another crossing again. Oh, going this way. There's a lot more to it than people realise, so I'm sort of systematically working through it, each aspect that I struggle with, and getting used to it. Whether that be sleeping outside, whether that be trying to know what I can get for my money or where to go to get certain things. It's a difficult balance, but the challenge, I thrive on it, I really enjoy it. I'm still very excited about the idea of the walk, and I hope to keep you updated. I hope things keep going well. I hope the sort of plan doesn't change and I don't want to push it further, because I think it's quite a good thing that I've settled upon, and it's just a case of seeing how it goes, saving up as much money as I can, and hopefully it won't be long until I set off.